what's up guys, welcome back to another video. This is a reaction to living in a small remote town in Alaska. I assume this is just like a day in the life type video of someone who lives in a small remote town in Alaska. I mean already the scenery, I assume that this person has out his or hers back garden is insane. Although maybe this isn't the back garden, maybe this is just an image from a road trip or something. But Alaska, fair enough. I mean, I always sort of wonder to myself, like, why would, out of all the states, would you choose Alaska? I know there are like job opportunities that I guess you can't really match in other states, but there are also a lot of downsides, aka the weather is cold, the sunlight. I feel like the sunlight, especially in the northern parts, is in like winter time is non-existent, and in summer it's too existent. I think, like, it just doesn't go away. But we're going to check this out and see. Links are also in the description to my Patreon where you can see reactions that I can't post to YouTube. And that's pretty much it. Let's check this out.
What's it like living in a small town in Alaska? Well, it's going to depend on which small town you choose to live in. And there are a lot of choices here. In Whittier, for example, there's one road in and out of town. That road closes around 10 p.m. every night and doesn't open up again until about 5 a.m. in the morning. Everybody in town lives in one building.
Yeah, that's
then
a
you
lot.
have a lot of small remote communities that you can only reach by boat or water planes.
Jeez.
A lot of YouTube videos show this lifestyle as being peaceful, easy, and relaxing. But it's also quite expensive to live this way unless you never plan on leaving your living room or eating.
Damn.
Groceries in these areas are extremely high, and if you can't afford to buy a boat...
Goddamn, living here would be rough. Like, for what reason would someone choose to live in this region in Alaska? Because this is, I assume, during the summer, so life's a lot easier. But even then, you got to like travel on the boat a lot, so it'll probably just cost quite a bit. But in the winter, it might be easier in the winter because you can maybe just drive across the ice. But no one has cars here, right? So I assume no one's going to choose to drive across. Maybe it doesn't freeze here. I don't know how it would be in these waters. But yeah, you're definitely choosing the hard life.
And make repairs on it when necessary. Flying in and out of these communities will easily cost you a few thousand every year.
Jeez.
You also have a lot of small remote communities throughout Alaska that you can reach by car. If you want to live in a small town or community and you're good balancing your budget, this would be your best option. But in this video, I'm going to talk about living in the small town of Valdez, Alaska, because that's where I live.
Never heard of it.
There's only one road in and out of Valdez, which drives over the Thompson Pass.
Damn.
The closest community to Valdez is Tonsina, which is 1.5 hours away and has a population of about 50 residents.
Damn. Look at the scenery.
During the summertime in Valdez, you can expect a lot of rain, a little more rain, and then a couple of heavy rainstorms. That's what you get when you live in the rainiest region in the state. Rain seems to be falling from the sky 70% of the time from May until October.
I mean, as a Brit, I feel like I would fit in perfectly here, to be fair. If it's a lot of rain, I'm used to that, man.
It rains so often that if you see an umbrella, you know it's a tourist.
Damn.
And I'm not exaggerating.
What?
The residents of Valdez will walk their dogs and stop and talk to other residents on the streets in the pouring rain like it's a sunny day in Florida.
What the hell?
The first time you see this is when you realize things run a bit differently here. Earthquakes happen several times throughout the year,
Jeez.
although they are very small and only last between 4 to 6 seconds usually.
Jesus.
Every Wednesday, a loudspeaker in the center of town informs the residents that there are no reported tsunamis in the area. If any tsunamis are heading towards Valdez, the risk they would actually reach the town is very minimal. If they feel the tsunami is a danger, they ask everyone to go to the highest point in town which is near the small local high school. With no intention to make this a dark video, the truth is, because the town is in a bowl of mountains, if a tsunami ever did come through town, Valdez would no longer exist.
Damn.
It would most likely just become another abandoned town in Alaska. The death toll would be between 2,000 and 4,000.
Flip it now.
The population of Valdez is roughly 4,000 in the summertime and 2,000 in the wintertime.
So everyone would die from tsunami then?
In the summertime, the number of residents increases because of the amount of people who come here for high-paying jobs, mostly on the docks and on fishing boats. Most of the workers come from the lower 48 states, but others come from Cuba, Puerto Rico, and Europe.
Europe, damn.
And during the summer, the streets are filled with about 20,000 tourists every day. Some drive through Alaska to get here, but the majority arrive by cruise ships. Safeway sells a lot of umbrellas during this time. If you can put up with all of the rain, you will be rewarded when the sun shines. On sunny days, Valdez is a really pretty location, surrounded by the Chugach Mountains with glaciers in the distance, and the town sits on the Prince William Sound, which remains ice-free year-round despite being the most northern port in North America.
That's kind of crazy as well.
Temperatures in the summer
possible?
are typically in the 60s and 70s, and the locals, like in most small towns, are extremely friendly and are very quick in welcoming new residents into the community. Whether you go to the post office or the bank or the grocery store or any other shop in town, everybody knows you within 2 weeks, and they treat you like you've
Put a
been here
thumbs up.
forever. There's not a lot of stores in a town with only one main road and a few side streets that are 2 or 3 blocks long, but thanks to the internet, you can still get anything you need that you can't find in the stores here. Other than a thrift store, one outdoor clothes store, a Radio Shack, and a few other small shops, there's not much more in Valdez selling things you use at home.
Damn.
So most of the people simply drive 5 hours to Anchorage when they need something urgently, or when they don't want to wait 3 to 8 weeks for Amazon to deliver it.
3 to 8 weeks. I mean, that is not next day delivery, but I can understand why. To be fair.
You do tend to meet many more people in Valdez who are not born here than those who have been here their entire lives. The reason for this is the amount of workers who come in early spring and don't leave until September, but also Valdez has a lot of residents who, for one reason or another, decided to make Valdez their home. Some of them just wanted a change, and they felt this small town offer them what they were looking for. But Valdez, just like all of Alaska, doesn't just attract people who want to live a slower-paced lifestyle or people who want to live around nature. It also seems to attract people who are maybe a little bit lost in life, people with addictions or personal family problems, and people who suffer from depression. Valdez is a great place, just like many small remote towns, for people with these kinds of problems to simply exist without being seen or to not be found by family or by old friends.
Fair. Get away
It's
from
actually
it
something that I find makes Alaska so dangerous for some people. If you're not happy in Florida or New York, or if you suffer from addictions or depression, or even if you're struggling through life to find yourself, Alaska is probably the worst place you can move to.
all. Jeez.
But let's face it, if you're not capable or wealthy enough to survive on your own in a remote area that you can only reach by plane, but you want to remain invisible and not be found, the second best place to live would be a town that is at the end of the road system in Alaska. A town that's not always easy to reach during the summer, and a town that can be impossible to reach during the winter. which leads us to life in Valdez during the winter time.
Oh, here we go. If it was hard in the summer, it's going to be hard in the winter.
Valdez
Flipping
is
hell.
known as the snowiest city in the US
Snowiest and rainiest. God damn, these people can't catch a break.
and receives an average of 350 inches of snow every year. When the rain stops at the end of October, the snow begins falling and does so into the following April.
Jeez, man.
And with only 2,000 residents remaining during the winter time, it often feels more like you're living in a closed ski resort than in an actual town. The streets are all but empty from 8 p.m. until 10 a.m., making it seem like nobody leaves their home during those hours.
That's gotta be so depressing.
There's only one fast food restaurant here, which is Subway, and that closes at 7 p.m.
So there's a Subway here. Damn. I mean, I wasn't expecting that.
All of the hotels and motels, with the exception of 3 or 4, close during the winter. And only a handful of restaurants remain open year-round. Valdez mainly survives on tourism, so it's understandable that it's cheaper for the businesses to close down in the winter than to remain open and have only a few local customers. And because of its location, going out to eat for just a cheeseburger with fries and a Coke will cost you about $20 before the tip, and Safeway, being the only grocery store in town, can be pretty expensive. But if you shop wisely, buy the cheaper brands and use the Safeway app for discounts, you can save quite a bit of money. But back to the weather, because that affects everything you do while you live here. It doesn't necessarily snow every day, but when it snows, it comes in fast and in large amounts. From December until February, the snow in the grass is about 4 feet high. The snow plowed out of the streets and the parking lots sit on every corner and next to every building and can be up to 20 feet high.
Flipping hell, man.
Valdez is the snowiest city in the US, but the real danger here is the ice. Most people here wear cleats on their shoes and boots because without those, you are going to fall no matter where you're walking. For 4 months, you're basically walking on a giant block of ice. You can't escape or avoid the ice until the second half of March, when most of the sidewalks and the road are ice-free and the parking lots are 50% ice-free. Temperatures in Valdez are not as cold as one would assume. You have 2 or 3 weeks throughout the winter where the temperatures will fall to about 2 to 8 degrees. The rest of the winter temperatures hover between 15 and 25, and by the end of March they will reach the mid to high 30s. Much worse than the winter temperatures are the windstorms. These may last only 1 hour or they can last up to 3 days.
3 days?
And they are one of the most unpleasant and uncomfortable experiences that you've probably ever dealt with. As remote as Valdez is, it's not until the winter time when you actually feel like or realize how remote you really are out here. In the summertime, you can drive 1 hour over the Thompson Pass any day you'd like to. But during the winter time, the Thompson Pass will close down occasionally due to either an accident or a blizzard or avalanches that block the roads. This happens between 4 to 10 times in December and January, and the closures typically last from 24 hours up to 3 days. Even if you had no intention of taking the risky drive over the Thompson Pass during the winter, just knowing you're stuck where you are with no way out can be an uneasy feeling if you think too much about it. I understand most people who watch this video and listen to what I said probably think to themselves, Valdez sounds like an awful place to live.
No.
You may even think I'm complaining and don't like it here, and that I would not recommend Valdez to anyone, but you'd be wrong.
Okay.
We're talking about Alaska, not the Caribbean islands. Alaska is supposed to be extreme, and you should expect the unexpected. The windstorms and earthquakes that come out of nowhere, the occasional tsunami warning, and the weather changing from sunshine to snowstorm in minutes. A simple boring task like walking to the post office becoming a challenge and a celebration of success once reaching your destination without falling. Valdez makes the most boring, routine daily task into a different game every day of challenges and adventures. If you ever want to come to Alaska, spend one winter in the snowiest city in the US. You don't have to stay forever. Most people don't. But a little inconvenience is well worth the memories and experiences that will stay with you forever.
Damn. Valdez, Alaska. I mean, this is a cool little experience, I guess, to show how life really is in not just Alaska in general, but in a remote town in Alaska. I'm 70 years old and worked for, I think it used to pronounce this as Cock, Alaska Pipeline in the summer of 75 till the summer of 76. It was nothing to make. It was nothing to make 1k to 1.5k a week with overtime. What, in the 75 to 76? That's crazy money back then. I could live on per dime and bank most of my salary. Bought first house in Texas for cash. Fairs. I mean, that's crazy money in those days, man. Flipping hell. Stunning narration. Yeah, this is a really cool little look into it. I mean, it definitely showed how life truly is. It's not just like fully focused on one thing. It was winter, summer, then different aspects of what you have to deal with. And it seemed like a very honest, I guess, review or just commentary of what life is here, what life is like here. Yeah, let me know your thoughts on this. If you live in Alaska, let me know how you sort of find it. I mean, if you live in a remote town or you live in Anchorage, a big city, or you've been to Alaska before and for whatever reason you chose to stay there or to leave there, just your sort of experiences compared to sort of what he says. I assume not many of you or any of you will really be able to actually comment on what he said here because maybe you've not lived in an Alaskan city or stuff like that. But yeah, it seems like you've definitely got to enjoy the hard work, the hard graft, because like he said, the simple tasks are made the most impossible tasks, you know, or just very hard to do, very difficult to do because of the conditions. But let me know your thoughts, and until next time, subscribe. Peace.